Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Austin Perry Show on this Thursday, April 22nd, 2021, episode 16 edition of the Austin Perry Show, where I'm your host, Austin Perry, and this is where we talk about current events, politics, culture, and news. And thank you so much for tuning in, folks. If you want to find all of my video content, you can do so on the social media platforms Rumble, BitChute, and Brighteon. And you can also check out my website. It is AustinParry.org, and that's Parry. And also, please leave me a donation that will help to support my video content, that will help to make the plans and the vision that I have for this Austin Perry Show possible into the future. And I have a lot of different plans of upgrading the equipment and upgrading the studio space, and also getting on a lot of different guests and having a lot of different really interesting, thought-provoking analysis and discussion pertaining to a lot of different world events and different news that's going on in the world today. And so, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the news tonight on this Thursday, April 22nd, episode 16. I have several bits of information and articles printed up from the internet here so that we can talk about these things. And the first thing I have is from MiamiHerald.com. Sports betting appears heading to Florida in deal agreed to by Governor Seminole Tribe. So this is from the Miami Herald. Let's get a dot cam shot on this one here. And it seems that DeSantis is in the works of getting a deal to Florida where we're going to have sports gambling in Seminole casinos, which I believe there are 7 different Seminole casinos around the state of Florida. Let's read a little bit here. More than half of all the states now allow some form of legal sports betting, and if a proposal which has been agreed to in principle between the Seminole Tribe of Florida and the states gets approved by the legislature in the next week, Florida could be adding to the list of at least $500 million in annual revenue that could be added to the budget. So, that's a lot of money to be made for Florida. And let's continue reading here. The tribe, however, would be the big winner. The owners of the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino would be given the exclusive rights to operate craps and roulette at the tribe's 7 casinos, and significantly, to operate as a sports betting hub for booking agents who would be housed at professional sports stadiums and existing casinos, slots facilities, and parimutuel poker rooms. No competitor would be allowed within 100 miles of their facilities. The Micascu tribe and its gaming facility near west of Miami would not be part of the deal. So, DeSantis is working to make a deal with the casinos to bring sports betting to Florida, and it seems that he is trying to give exclusive rights of sports betting to the Seminole Tribe. And the Seminole Tribe already has a stranglehold on the casino and gambling business and industry here in the state of Florida. And so that will just further increase their stranglehold on the gambling market. I wouldn't say they're a monopoly. I would say that they're getting very powerful, but I wouldn't say a monopoly. But I think that there should be other casinos also in Florida. I don't know how I feel about only one company, one organization, one tribe, the Seminole Tribe of Florida, having exclusive rights to basically all the gambling in the state of Florida. And so that could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. It's debatable. Look into it, check it out, do some reading on it. And once again, document cam shot. That's from the Miami Herald. And the title there, Sports Betting Appears Headed to Florida Deal Agreed to by Governor Seminole Tribe. All right, let's move on here. Next article from NewYorkTimes.com. Biden will seek tax increase on rich to fund child care of education. So, Biden is looking to increase taxes on the rich, so that's supposedly a good thing, people think, but I'm anti-tax all around, folks. And here is the article right here. Document cam shot on that. There's the title in the bold lettering up top. And let's read a little bit of this article. President Biden will seek new taxes on the rich, including a near doubling of capital gains tax for people earning more than $1 million a year, to pay for next phase in his $4 trillion plan to reshape the American economy. Mr. Biden will also propose a raising of the top marginal income tax rate to 39.6% from 37%, the level it was cut to by President Donald Trump tax overhaul in 2017. The proposals are in line with Mr. Biden's campaign promises to raise taxes on the wealthy, but not on households earning less than $400,000. So, here you have it, New York Times, Biden trying to raise taxes. I don't support raising taxes at all. I support the abolishment of taxes. America as a country was founded on the principles of no taxes. That's what the Boston Tea Party was all about. They're trying to tax them for different goods and services. They're trying to tax them for firearms. This was back in the early days of America that I'm talking about. And the American people didn't like that, how the British government was imposing these taxes, and that was one of the main reasons that started the American Revolution. And now it seems that as a country, 200 something odd years later, we have all these taxes, and I don't understand why. I think that a lot of the tax dollars that the American people pay for are misspent and misplaced funds, and they just line the pockets of a lot of these corrupt politicians. And so I think that a lot of things could be handled just by local organizations, and I think that as far as like people would say, oh well, we need taxes for the roads. Who's gonna fix the roads if we don't pay taxes? Well, people fix their own roads. There's some people who own thousands of acres and they have several different roadways on their property, and guess what? They fix the roads themselves. And local organizations could group together, local charities, people could come together. If people live in a neighborhood and there's some potholes in their streets, then you get together as a community and you talk about what you should do to solve the problem, and you raise some funds and you fix the problem. It's as simple as that. The government is spending all of our tax dollars on these black budget projects and countless pointless wars overseas, killing people for no reason. The military industrial complex is spending all of our tax dollars for what reason? We could be spending those dollars towards better causes. And I think that I'm not in favor of abolishing government. I'm not an anarchist or anything, but I am in favor of limited government. And along with that, I think very limited tax. I mean, there's so much tax that people pay for nowadays. It's just highway robbery. I mean, these people are just losing all their money to these taxes. They can't afford it. I mean, people should be able to keep their money. And it's just a sign of everybody being enslaved, all these taxes. So Biden's like, oh, I'm taxing the rich. It's good for the poor people. No, how about you just don't tax anybody? Don't tax the poor. Don't tax the rich. I think people should be able to keep their money without the government stealing it from them. Call me crazy. All right, moving on. This is from CHOUprojects.com. The Best Hologram Companies in the World 2021 by Jackie Chow. And here we have it. Document cam shot. The Best Hologram Companies in the World 2021. This is an article, like I said, CHOUprojects.com. And this article is talking about different types of hologram companies. And let's read a little bit here. The world of 3D holograms and virtual reality experiences is advancing faster and more dynamically than most of us could ever imagine. Many have had their first experience with holographic technologies, whether in person or through social media. Many have seen live performances from holographic icons such as Tupac, Elvis, or Kurt Cobain. What's going on with these things anyways? According to Whippio, hologram displays are being brought into the 3D world through various forms of projection. While now it seems to be a wild idea, it may not be long before conference rooms and meetings are employing 3D holograms to give presentations, and before more entertainment forms and adaptations grow out of these exciting technologies. So yeah, folks, James Cameron, the director and creator of Avatar, one of the best film and cinema personalities and creators out there, and he basically was going to make a whole new type of movie-going experience where it wasn't going to be where you go to the movies and it was going to be like a big screen and you see the movie on the screen. It was going to be like a hologram theater stage, and you were going to experience a movie in that format. And James Cameron had the vision of this like 10, 15 years ago, but basically he got wind of how there's a New World Order exterminist agenda to depopulate. And so he said, well, screw it, they're going to kill everybody, they're going to depopulate, there's an exterminist New World Order plan to take out everybody and to kill everybody. So I'm just going to instead retreat to New Zealand and buy a whole fleet of shipping vessels that he claims are offshore exploratory vessels, but really he's just got his own private navy down there in New Zealand. And so look into it, folks, don't take my word for it. That's what James Cameron has done. He has a large fleet of ships down in New Zealand where he's ready for the apocalypse because he knows what's going on. He can read the tea leaves. He can read between the lines. He can read the stars. He knows what's going on. I mean, just look around you, folks. I mean, look at what's going on with this whole COVID thing. Look at how they're just enslaving everybody, and people are starving and dying in the third world countries because all the supply chains of all the food has been shut down. Not to mention all the people that got put on the ventilators and their lungs got blown out. And they died. But that's neither here nor there. But so basically, like I was saying, James Cameron had a vision. He was going to make a new movie-going experience. It was going to be a hologram movie theater. And he basically gave up on the idea because he figured out about the New World Order agenda to exterminate and kill everybody. Now, let me tell everyone, even though I think that it's very possible that there is a New World Order exterminist agenda, I don't think that they're going to be successful. I think that everyone's waking up to their plan, and they're having to accelerate their timeline, and because of that, they're going to fail. They're already self-imploding. It's already like 40, 50, 60% of the population's like wide awake to the New World Order and to what's going on. And so I'm very hopeful, I'm very optimistic about the future, actually. And this Austin Perry Show is my contribution towards enlightening the masses and awakening the population so that we can fight back against the great evil in the world. And there is great evil, and if you think that there's not, you're wrong. Do some research, look into it, folks. There's so much corruption, so much evil. These people are Satanists. They're drinking baby blood. They're participating in rituals at the high levels. That's how they're blackmailing people. What do you think was going on at Jeffrey Epstein's private island, folks? Some really bad stuff. They're blackmailing people, having a video recording them having diddling little kids, and potentially even worse things, participating in ceremonies where they're torturing children and even killing them and drinking their blood while they're alive, sucking the essence out of them. It's a super satanic ritual that they do. It's to prove themselves to Lucifer. It's to basically block out God from entering their heart and entering their soul. And that's what's going on in the world, folks. And this one right here, let's continue reading on this article. This is one of the best holographic companies in the world, based in London, England. Kaledia will be able to meet your needs, whether you're looking for standard holograms, interactive experiences, assistance with social media boosting, live holographic telepresence, or something else within this realm. Calidia is ahead of the curve when it comes to delivering and managing effective, engaging projects. And here you have it. This is the company Calidia, and they are a hologram company. They provide holograms in multiple different forms and formats. And there's just a little sample of one of their Raptor holograms. And this is purposely made to look like it's an artificial hologram. They have much more sophisticated holograms that look basically lifelike, or even extremely lifelike, undiscernible to the human eye. And some of those technologies they keep under wraps a little bit more, but they're starting to trickle it out, folks, and it's starting to become mainstream. And if you recall the Tupac hologram that did the stage performance with Snoop Dogg, this was back like 5-7 years ago, something like that. I believe that was this same company, Calidia, or at least some of their top people who founded this company worked on that Tupac hologram as well. And they also have, like, in hotels in Dubai, when you go into the lobby, and they have holograms where it's like elephants and rhinoceroses and hippopotamuses just running through the lobby, and the kids are all jumping for joy like, oh my god, an elephant, oh, a hippopotamus, because it looks so real. And you can look up these videos, folks. There's videos out there of these hotels in Dubai where they have holograms in the lobby. And also, Kanye West bought a hologram video or hologram presentation, whatever you want to call it, for his wife, Kim Kardashian. And it was of Kim Kardashian's dead, passed away father, Robert Kardashian, delivering her a happy birthday message. And she said she watched it over and over and over again, filled with emotion. It was the best present she could ever receive. And you can look up the video of the hologram of Robert Kardashian, and it looks extremely lifelike. And this is just what they're rolling out to the public. This is just what they're introducing you to. They have way more advanced holograms in secret black budget projects and underground military facilities and things of that nature. And so I encourage everyone to look into it. Holograms are the future. It's extremely interesting. And this article right here was talking about it. Let's get a .cam shot one more time. Best holograms 2021. So look into it, folks. Very interesting, very thought-provoking. And the next bit of information I have here to talk to you about is actually the flux liner. And for those of you who don't know what the flux liner is, let me show you the image here. This is the artist rendition, the artist interpretation of what the actual prototype flux liner looked like. So let's give a little story on this. So this image was drawn by Mark McCandlish. And Mark McCandlish was a aviation design illustrator. And so you all know about the jets. You know about like the F-22 or like the F-14 or whatever. You all know about those jets, right? So back in the day, before the 90s, pre-90s, there wasn't computer software to draw designs to build things, including complex machinery, such as a fighter jet. Had to be hand-drawn by a drafting expert. So there were people who specialized in this type of drawing, this type of illustration, and it was basically essentially hand-drawing the blueprints for an extremely sophisticated aircraft. And so Mark McCandlish drew many different aviation design plans for different jets and different airplanes throughout the years, throughout the 70s and the 80s, I believe. And he also drew this. And this, as you can see, looks like a UFO, but it's not actually a UFO. What he claims this drawing to be is basically, he said his friend was invited to a top secret air show where his friend was shown this exact aircraft in question. His friend was shown this in real life, and based on just his friend remembering what it looks like and his friend explaining it to him in great detail, Mark McCandlish drew this based on his friend's account of witnessing this at a top secret air show. And so this is supposed to be not a UFO or a UAF, a unidentified flying object, or unidentified aerial phenomena, but this is actually supposed to be an AVR, which is an alien replication vehicle, ARV, I mean. Alien replication vehicle. And so what this is basically a military government replicated vehicle based on alien designs that they have found from crashed alien craft. And so this is basically supposed to be a proof of concept vehicle. And this is not by any means very refined or a very sophisticated model of this proof of concept vehicle. And so as you can see here, you have this hatch, which is basically just like an old school submarine hatch. You have this dome up here with these 1, 2, 3 outboard exterior cameras. You have this seat here, you have another seat. You actually can have 4 seats in this arrangement. And as you can see, you have this little orb that's hanging by the seat, which you place your hand on and you control by shifting the orb. And you have these oxygen tanks, presumably some type of tanks. And then you also have these discs at the bottom here, which are supposed to be counter-rotating discs, which affects the electric-magnetic field around the craft, which allows it to slip through the space-time continuum. And so it does not have propulsion. It's actually manipulating magnetic fields around the craft, allegedly. And you can also see this extendable arm that can, a little panel will go whoop, and on the wall of the craft, and the arm will extend out. It can grab something and bring it back in. And so this is a very rudimentary type of craft. They have much more advanced designs than this one. But basically, this is the flux liner, folks. And in ufology, this design, this drawing by Mark McCandlish is extremely popular and very famous within people who study UFOs, and it's basically been named its own category of science or academia or research. It's called ufology. And people who know about ufology know about this, and people who don't, I'm letting you know about it. And this is an extremely famous drawing within ufology. The Flux Liner by Mark McCandlish. There you go, folks. Let's take a close-up look at this. There you have the seat. There you have the counter-rotating discs at the bottom with the extendable arm. You have some oxygen tanks. You got some cameras on the outside. And this thing goes super fast, allegedly. And that's basically it. It's pretty much a really simple machine. And, I mean, the physics are kind of hard to understand. The electromagnetic gravitics. But, very simplistic, actually. And so that was the flux liner. And so we have another design here based on another artist's interpretation or rendition of what they think that this craft could potentially look like in real life. And this is the XE35 flux liner ionocraft. And here you can see the designs for this one, folks. And you can see it's a little bit more sophisticated, a little bit more refined, a little bit more advanced, a little bit higher and more complicated technology, a little bit more elegant, a little bit more sleek. And as you can see, the chair in this one is much smaller, indicating that this is a much larger craft. This is probably, I would guess, 50 to 55 to 60 feet in diameter, diameter, whereas the first flux liner model that I showed you was probably like 20, 25, 30 feet in diameter, something like that. And so this one is extremely interesting, and this one has a bunch of information along the sides that are actually legible. The other one, this print was too small, you can't read it. So let's read a little bit of this here. The source of propulsion resides in the copper wire coil around the crew compartment floor, coupled with the bottom capacitor plates separated in triangular sections radially around the center of the craft. Propulsion is caused by electrogravitational coupling properties of the Bennett-Brown effect when high voltage is pumped through this arrangement of superconducting materials. The capacitor plates are divided into 36 individual sections to allow for the controlled distribution of charge. This is useful due to the byproduct of the Biot-Brown effect, that is, the exterior of the craft is so highly charged with electricity that the air around it becomes ionized, allowing an air current to be manipulated by controlling the distribution of charge around the axis, thus controlling the movement of the craft. Very interesting. The 8 horizontal cylinders are the motionless electromagnetic generator housing, which draw electromagnetic energy freely from the active vacuum at 160% efficiency and a coefficient of performance COP equals less than 1.6. Okay. The central column of the craft in the crew compartment is the supercomputer core and resembles the Cray computer in shape. However, it is much more advanced and purely fiber optic in order to withstand intense EM fields, electromagnetic fields, generated by the craft's propulsion technology. Wow. The bottom of the craft houses the prominent cone-like structure facing the ground. This serves as a safe way to release excess charge into the ground when close to it, causing a massive bolt of lightning to dissipate into the earth from the point of the cone, just as natural lightning from clouds do. The oxygen replenishment tanks, functioning by converting carbon dioxide into oxygen similar to that of plants, but much more efficient. This is essential technology for all future space exploration and high-altitude research projects, as it is perpetually replenishes the oxygen used up by the crew, further allowing for a permanent presence in space. Cargo is stored in large crates mounted on the central column next to the pilot seats and can be removed and interchanged depending on mission specifications and duration. Also, the lower portion of the craft is not pressurized, making it difficult for pilots to access. However, the MEGs contain no moving parts and are thus low maintenance. The XE-35 flux liner is based on the design of the ARV Alien Reproduction Vehicle flux liner. However, the XE-35 is designed more with mission duration in mind and outperforms the ARV in many respects. All right, okay. This is mind-blowing, honestly. I mean, get another gander at that. There's all the info on the sides that I just read to you about this alleged spacecraft. Basically all the specs that I just read to you. And that is just fascinating, folks. I don't care who you are, that's fascinating. And moving on to the next topic. And here we have from Wikipedia, electrogravitics, document cam shot. Wikipedia.com. Electrogravitics. What is electrogravitics? Let's learn. Let's read here. Electrogravitics is claimed to be an unconventional type of effect or anti-gravity force created by electric fields' effect on mass. The name was coined in the 1920s by the discoverer of the effect, Thomas Townsend Brown, who spent most of his life trying to develop it and sell it as a propulsion system. Though Brown's promotion of the idea, it was researched for a short while by aerospace companies in the 1950s. Electrogravitics is popular with conspiracy theorists, which claim that it is powering flying saucers and the B-2 stealth bomber. Well, I don't know about the B-2 stealth bomber, but I wouldn't be surprised if it is powering flying saucers. And this word conspiracy theorist gets thrown out there as if it's a bad thing. That just means that there are people who conspired, and we're theorizing about people who conspired. People conspire all the time. People are arrested and imprisoned thousands of times annually across the world for committing conspiracy. And so if I have a theory about people conspiring, that's just thinking critically. That's just thinking logically. It doesn't make any sense. They're using this term to try and discredit people's ideas about things. And so that's my thoughts on that. And so basically what electrogravitics is basically a anti-gravity force, and it's using electricity to manipulate magnetic fields around something. And so it is basically the properties of physics pertaining to electricity and magnetism and the specific application of being used as a propulsion device for a vehicle. And it's very fascinating. I encourage you to look up electrogravitics, do some research. It's a very fascinating field of science. And moving on. And here we have, this is from academia.edu, an anti-gravity platform of V.S. Grebennikov. And Stepanovich Grebennikov was a Russian scientist, and he claims to have built a levitating device, which was a levitating vehicle, which was a box, which was a platform that you would stand on, which had handles. And inside the box, it was filled with scarab beetle wings. And so the scarab beetle wings, if you look at them under a microscope, contain thousands or millions of points. And so if you look at a scarab beetle wing under a microscope, it has millions of micro points, and all of those are focusing energy. And so basically, if you align these scarab beetle wings and stack them on top of each other, because they each contain millions of micro points, which are focusing energy and electricity towards a certain direction, he claims that he can actually build a device which is basically just a box that you stand on with the handlebars, and it's filled with scarab beetle wings, and you can manipulate it and levitate and actually go super fast on it. And so here is the document cam shot of this, and there is the name right there. I cannot pronounce it very well, but if you hit pause right now, you can write it down, and you can Google search his name, and you can look into it for yourself, folks. And let me show you the next page, which contains the images of the box, the levitating box in question. And here you have it. This is allegedly real, authentic images of him levitating on a wooden box filled with scarab beetle wings. And I can't make this stuff up, folks. I mean, this is a real article that I printed up from online. Everyone should look into it. And it's extremely interesting. He claims to have built a levitating device with nothing but a box filled with scarab beetle wings. And if you do some research into scarab beetle wings, there's some very interesting things going on with the magnetism and with the millions of micro points. And then so that's allegedly how, even though their back shell is super heavy, that's how the wings just launch, because the two shell pieces just fly apart from each other from magnetism. And then it's all kinds of very interesting scientific information. If you look into scarab beetle wings, there's all kinds of links, and it's related to magnetism and all this other stuff. Do some research into it. It's very cool. And so let's move on here to the last bit of information we have for the night. And this comes from wikipedia.org. Dark matter. Dark matter, everyone knows about it, everyone's heard about it, no one really knows what it is. So I'm talking about it here on the Austin Perry Show. We're going to discuss it, we're going to analyze it, and let's read. Dark matter is believed to be a form of matter thought to account for approximately 85% of the matter in the universe and about 27% of its total mass, energy density, or about 2.241 times 10 to the negative 27th degree, kilograms over meters cubed. Its presence is implied in a variety of astrophysical observations, including gravitational effects that cannot be explained by accepted theories of gravity unless more matter is present than can be seen. For this reason, most experts think that dark matter is abundant in the universe and that it has had a strong influence on its structure and evolution. Dark matter is called dark because it does not appear to interact with the electromagnetic field, which means it does not absorb, reflect, or emit electromagnetic radiation and is therefore difficult to detect. So, dark matter is a mystical force that we don't really understand very well. It is basically observable, it's very limited in the ways in which we can observe dark matter. And it doesn't interact with electromagnetic fields, and it is potentially another dimension. Dark matter could be seeping in from either higher or lower or parallel dimensions. And it could be harnessed as an energy source. And here we have it right here. Let's read here. The total mass of energy of the universe contains 5% ordinary matter and energy, 27% dark matter, and 68% of a form of energy known as dark energy. Thus, dark matter constitutes 85% of total mass, while dark energy plus dark matter constitute 95% of total mass energy content. So, there's more dark matter than you think, actually. It's all around you, and you're infused with it. And it's seeping into this realm, to this dimension. And let's read a little bit more here. Because dark matter has not yet been observed directly, if it exists, it must barely interact with ordinary baryonic matter and radiation, except through gravity. Most dark matter is thought to be non-baryonic in nature. It may be composed of some as yet undiscovered subatomic particles. So basically, this is kind of a whitewash, this Wikipedia article. They're saying, yeah, dark matter's a thing, but we don't really know too much about it yet. It's still very undiscovered, and there's still a lot to be learned about it. When in reality, I think that it's very likely that the government and the elite scientific ruling class of the world already knows a whole lot about dark matter. And they're basically just only letting us in on a very little small amount about what dark matter actually is. And allegedly they have dark matter spacecrafts that are powered by dark matter and dark energy. And this is very interesting. If you're into science, I suggest researching this and looking into it. And there you have it, dark matter, folks, wikipedia.com. And that concludes this episode 16, Thursday, April 22nd, 2021 edition of the Austin Perry Show. Thank you so much. Today we kind of delved into the science a little bit. I'm finding the more that I do this show that I actually like topics of science a lot. And so I will be covering a lot of different science topics. And I also will be covering politics and news and current events as well. But I like to talk about things that I'm interested in, and I like to talk about things that I think are important for awakening people's minds and enlightening people and exposing the truth about the situation of the world. And I am also trying to expose corruption and evil, folks. That's my main mission. That's my mission from God. That's why I'm doing this show, the Austin Perry Show, to try to do my part to basically wake everybody up about how the world actually works and what's really going on in the world. And so I want to thank you so much for watching and listening to me ramble and rant. And if you want to check out my video content, you can do so on the social media platforms Rumble and BitChute and Brighteon. And you can also check out my website, which is AustinParry.org. That's P-A-R-R-Y. And if you want to, you can leave me a donation via PayPal, and my email address for that is austin.perry@gmail.com. That will help to support my video content in the future. And that's it for tonight, folks. That was episode 16 in the books. And join me tomorrow on Friday for episode 17, where we will be discussing current events, politics, culture, and news on the Austin Perry Show. Thank you so much, and everyone have a great night. Love and peace, and goodbye.